Hey, Phillip Phillips. Hey, thanks so much for joining us on WTOP in DC.
Yeah, man, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Where are you calling us from? That's a nice little, like, I don't know if we call it a sunroom or whatever, but like the wood little rafters, like a sunray. That's nice there.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, this is at my home in South Georgia. This is kind of our living room, and my wife's pink chair. I usually would do these in my studio room, but I couldn't. Yeah, just my our internet's been weird and all this stuff. So
Right.
thank you.
Well, I like the pink chair. It really pops. You know what I mean? It makes you stand out. I love it.
Yeah,
All right. Well, our
makes my
listeners,
cheeks stand out.
yeah, exactly. Well, our listeners probably don't want to talk us to talk interior design. They're here to find out about your
Yeah.
brand new album, which arrives Friday, June 9th. It's called Drift Back. So what's in the title, man? I've listened to a couple of the songs, So Will I and Dancing with Your Shadows. It's a really cool vibe. But what's in the title?
Oh man, so the album for me kind of represents these past 5 years of me trying to learn how to become like a better man overall and a better husband, a better father, better brother, a better son, better friend. And it's kind of a deeper record for me and very personal, but there's still some fun moments throughout it and just a love record. And so that's really what it is for me, man. Just kind of learning, and I'm still on that journey of trying to do better each day.
Awesome. So it's about journey of trying to be just a better person, father, husband, son, everything, which that should inspire all listeners.
Yeah.
We should all want to be better. So how does that tie into drift back then? Just drift back to home, to who
So
you
yeah,
are,
just kind
to
of drift. Yeah, just drift back to who I am, and back to relationships that I have been like, you know, a lot of things that happen. So you learn some people aren't superheroes, and you learn that, you know, sometimes things just won't go how you really think they will. And so it's me kind of dealing with issues and problems that I haven't really wanted to deal with for a long time. And also it's for me, drift back is kind of drifting back to my fans since it's been, 5 years since my last record. And so yeah, I'm just really really happy and proud of this record. So I think it's really good. Maybe everyone else will think it's really good, or they'll think it's really really bad. But hopefully they'll still give it a thumbs up.
either way, whatever they think, because it's all subjective. That we turn it out into the world, see what the people say. But either way,
Exactly, it's not
you're
mine
proud of it.
anymore.
You're proud of it, and it's authentic and
Absolutely.
real about real issues you're dealing with, the person, etc. So it's worthwhile just that alone. Um,
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully everyone enjoys it. Like I have listened to it so far. Well, you're talking about drifting back. Let's drift back. Whenever I have someone on, I love to drift back to your superhero origin story. I know you said there are no superheroes, but your origin story. You were born there in Georgia, in 1990. So what yeah, what was it like growing up? Like, what was your musical influences? Phillip Phillips is an interesting name. I guess you get it from dad.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's my dad's name. He goes by a nickname, but because he hated the name growing up, so he decided to give it to his only son. And so yeah, that is my real name. A lot of people still don't think it's my real name, but it is. But yeah, I grew up
I
in
like it,
South
man. I remember I
Georgia.
grew up.
I appreciate it.
There was a kid named Anthony. And I always thought that was cool. You don't forget it. So Phillip Phillips, that's gonna
No,
sell records.
easy to learn in cursive. It's just the same thing twice. I remember that
Yeah,
in second grade. But
yeah.
yeah, I grew up. I have two older sisters, but we're me and my oldest sister were 13 years apart, and then me and my middle sister were 7 years apart to the date. And so I kind of was like an only kid, kind of growing up. So I still I've gotten closer to my sisters the older I get, and but they have always watched after me, and kind of they've in a way been more than just a sister. And so but yeah, man, I was just really quiet. I loved sports growing up. And then I had one friend. And so it's funny, me and my sister are 7 years apart, have the same birthday. And then I had this one friend across the street. We lived on this street and called Church Street. And then there's this one other kid that was only lived on the street. She was a year younger than me, and we had the same birthday. So all
Oh
three
my
kids in this
gosh.
little town, we were only three kids lived on this street in this smaller town in Sasser, Georgia. And we all three had the same birthday. It was the most bizarre thing. And so we were best friends growing up. And I remember when we got a speed bump on our street, we would ride our bikes over that speed bump every day. We just thought it was the most amazing thing in the world. But then I moved to a place called Leesburg, Georgia for baseball. And then I got into music at about 14 years old. And that was really it, man. I fell in love with the guitar, and I've always loved music. Even before I picked up the guitar, I loved a lot of classic rock and just kind of list can go on. And I would carry a big like CD packet. You could CD sleeves.
Yeah.
And me and my buddy Ross, we would always at the end of each school day, we had our CD players. And so we would choose whoever we were going to listen to. We had a splitter, so we would be listening to the same music at the same time, and we would walk out of school and still have that CD sleeve to this day. It's pretty funny. And so yeah, man, just did that. And I just fell in love with music, and I was just obsessed over it. And another friend of mine who I'm still close with these guys. They're just my best friends, and a guy named John, he played guitar. And we would play guitar all the time together. He had an amplifier and I didn't have one. So I would go to his house a lot just to learn how to play the electric and all that. And just learn as much as we could, man. Yeah.
I love it. And with the CD player, you're taking me back. But you gotta be careful going over that speed bump, because if your Discman doesn't have the shock protector, it'll skip. So that speed bump could take
absolutely.
You out. And
good call.
I don't want to sidetrack too much, but real quick, what position were you in baseball? Now I'm curious.
Oh man, honestly, I mean, I'm not trying to I would play any position. I was pretty good at every position. But I love playing first or the outfield, anywhere in the outfield, because I love to dive for the ball. I like to stretch out for the ball to catch. And I was an okay pitcher. I didn't have a lot of speed, but I had a pretty nasty curveball as a kid. And
Tom Glavine and Greg Maddox, Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, Steve Avery. You were in the hotbed for pitchers down there.
Gosh, man. Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah, big Braves fan growing up. Chipper Jones and Andrew Jones were I just loved them.
Dave Justice.
Big fan of that. And yeah, that's great. Throwing it back. So after when I picked up music, I didn't really do anything in sports for a long time. And I've always missed that because I'm a pretty competitive person. I like ping pong, but I never played it enough to be, really good at it. And so I picked up pickleball 4 years ago. I just fell in love with it. I don't know if you know what pickleball is, but
it's like all the rage. Like awesome. Certain bands play it backstage up at Merriweather and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's just the best. And I'm pretty competitive, and I just obsessed over that as well. I've learned a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of time playing it, but it was cool because me and a handful of guys all started learning at the same time, and a couple of them were very good tennis players, and I would just, we'd all just learn from each other, and so I love playing that. Yeah.
I love it. So yes, all right. Phillip Phillips is a pickleball player. Who knew? All right.
Yeah.
Well, I could just talk sports with you all day, but let's try to bring it back on track. So you're working in Dad's pawn shop.
Who do you think is going to win the NBA championship?
Oh man, I don't know. Probably Denver, right? I feel like they're long overdue.
Bill, I feel like they're going to win too. Joker's just insane.
It's going to be it's probably like a 4-game sweep,
Ooh, I hope not, but yeah, we'll see. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You go ahead.
No, we can talk all day. We haven't even got the football, and that's my favorite. But all right. Well, anyway, you were, before Idol hits, obviously, and changes your life. You were what were you doing? Working at Dad's pawn shop, majoring in industrial system technology. That was the career path. That's where you thought you might go, and then all of a sudden you hear about this little thing called Idol. Or how did it come about?
So yeah, I helped my dad at his pawn shop, but I was also playing a ton of gigs, all over whatever Georgia, middle Georgia, some, up around Athens, whatever parties, or Valdosta, anywhere I would just play. And so I did that a lot, but also, I had to go to college because my dad said I had to either get out of the house or go to college and get a degree just to have as a backup plan. I wasn't quite ready to get out of the house yet. So I went and got my degree, industrial systems technology. And I did really good in it. But I didn't enjoy it. So I couldn't tell you anything about it now.
Yeah.
But I had a great teacher, and it was, it was a time, it was the time there, but I just, music was always number one, far, far, far ahead of anything else.
Well, we're all glad that you decided to take a chance and take a leap and audition for Idol. Obviously, you are too. I'm sure you're glad you did that.
Yeah.
Tell me about I invite our listeners should fire up their YouTube machine and and see your audition, because it's funny. Like right when you walk in, Steven Tyler, he even whispers, he goes, I got a funny feeling about this guy. And then, and then when you start in Stevie Wonder Superstition, you can totally see that J-Lo and Randy Jackson are feeling it. So much so they invite you to bust out your guitar for Michael Jackson's Thriller. So just take me into the whirlwind of like when you go in and just feeling it out. Are you like sort of vibing like, okay, they're liking this. They're liking this. Oh my God, I'm going to get to do a second song. Like take me into what that moment's like.
Man, I was too. I don't think I ever looked at him besides saying hello when I walked in, because I
Yeah.
was absolutely terrified. And I don't like to sing a cappella, especially by myself. I don't mind if it's with some other guys or girls, whatever, but just by myself, is I don't have the most beautiful voice in the world. And so doing that, I was just like, oh my gosh, man, I just want to get this over with. I was just sweating. I'm already like sweat horribly just in general, but I was sweating extra then. And so yeah, when they finally said I could pick up my guitar, I got a lot more comfortable, and I got to play my version of Thriller, and they seemed to really like it. And that was just, you're in front of these artists and that have done amazing things, that'll always be remembered. So I was like, man, I'm just a kid from this small town, why. I didn't know like I said, I'd never watched the show or anything. I'd seen a few episodes of it from the year before, I think, of a guy named Casey Abrams, who's incredibly talented. I was like, oh, that's cool, man. He's actually a really talented guy, talented musician. And that's all I knew from it. But I didn't know anything else.
Really?
And
You
so
never
going out
watched,
for that, man, it was
you
just,
didn't watch like, I mean, you were aware of like Kelly Clarkson and Carrie Underwood. Like you knew the names, right? But you just never watched.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, just didn't watch it. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, obviously I knew their names and other artists that were from the show, but I just didn't watch it. I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
And it was just a very dog eat dog world, though. I soon found out everybody wants to be really famous that goes out for that show, and I didn't care about that. I just wanted to be able to make music for a living, for people that wanted to listen to it, and that wanted to hear the songs that I write, and luckily be able to do that. And but yeah, man, I was just a quiet guy. A lot of people would want to go hang out or do other stuff, and I just want to go back and chill, man, or eat some good food. That's
Right.
all I want to do, and write music.
Well, that might be what carried you through. You didn't get caught up in any other distractions. You were just focused on the music. And that's funny to me that you said you never watched it, because you can sort of tell that your parents were huge fans. Like your mom was freaking out about Seacrest, and there's a big deal for them, even if you
Yeah,
guys.
my mom was a huge fan, and they had always told me, like, if you tried out for that, you'd win it. And I was like, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna freaking try out for, I don't know. That's not my thing,
Yeah.
And because there are so many incredible, I knew incredible singers went out for it, like you said, Kelly Clarkson, Carrie Underwood, just
Yeah.
powerhouse vocals. I was like, I'm not a powerhouse vocalist, and so that's not my thing. And then when I saw the Casey guy, they said, you need to see this kid on there. I was like, oh, whatever, I'll check it out. And he did a version of, I think, Georgia on My Mind. And I was like, holy crap, that's pretty freaking awesome. And definitely more of my wheelhouse. And I said, that's really cool. So I think I saw him like 2 or 3 of his performances, and that was it. And so then the next year, my family, hey, look, we'll give you the gas money. Just travel up to Charleston, go try out. Your sister and brother-in-law will go with you. They'll try out too. I was like, all right, whatever, I'll do it. And so we did it, and we waited in line for like 8 hours in this arena, running 10,000 people or so. And we noticed there were like 15 or so booths, and the booth 11 was the booth that you didn't want to go to, because they were sending everyone home. They were sending everybody back. And because it was in front of producers of the show, or whatever. And
Right. There's a lot. There's like some rounds
so
you got to beat
there's
past through certain
there's
things before you even
three
get to the
rounds you have
judges.
to.
Yeah.
3 rounds you have to go through in front of producers. And so that was the first one. And they said, we get down there, it's like, all right, go to booth 11. I was like, oh, frick.
I'm done.
Like, dadgum, I'm definitely wasted all this time. Go down there, do the song, and they say step forward, and they send me through, and I was like, oh crap.
Yeah.
And get all these papers, whatever. And they said, well, come back in 2 days and right in the same city and come do, you'll perform again and learn this song, this Lady Gaga song while you're at it. I was like, oh my gosh. And so I changed up this Lady Gaga song. I can't remember what song it was, and had it ready just in case they asked for it. So I went through the first round, and they said, okay, you'll do another one in just a little bit. So I went in front of the bigger producers for the second one, and they were the main producers of the show. And I did what I did, and they said, okay, well, come back next time, learn this Lady Gaga song. I said, well, I already learned it. I said, I might mess up the lyrics because I don't really know it that well, but I kind of changed it up a little bit. And I played what I had, and I think I messed up like halfway through, but I just laughed it off, and they laughed, and they said, oh, well, great job. We'll be in touch with you, and, blah, 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 and then get the information on email, and you go. Then that was in front of the celebrity judges. That was in Savannah, Georgia. And yeah, man, that rest is kind of history. Yeah.
It really is. That's so cool. Well, I don't want to spend too much more time on Idol. I'm going to get to your actual, albums out there in the real world. But I do, real quick, before we move off it, I do have to ask, what was it like hearing Seacrest call your name? That final show, you know what I mean? You get to sing Home, which, gosh, your coronation song, I think, went on to be like the top seller in Idol history. We all know it. I'm going to make this place your home.
That's what they tell me.
But what was it just like hearing the name, your name and the confetti and that? Your mind probably goes blank.
It really did, man. It was more of like an outer body experience. Very emotional time for me. I had a lot going on personally. Not just that I was sick during that time, had some kidney issues, but a lot of personal things that were going on in my life, and that no one even knows about. And so it was just all of these emotions. When I started to cry, it wasn't even crying that I won. It was, I don't even know how to explain it. It was just this whole thing of just, I could take a breather for a minute, and just everything hit all at once. And yeah, I can't even watch that video now because it still gets me emotional. It's the weirdest thing. So whenever he said it, and then whenever they brought my guitar out, I was like, what am I about to sing? I didn't even know I was about to sing. And then the music started. I was like, oh, this song.
Yeah.
And and so yeah, that all just happened, man. And really, really cool experience.
That's incredible. Well, of course you're going to get emotional watching it. Not everyone has their single life-changing moment, recorded on screen for all time. Of course you're going to get emotional. All right. Well, tell me.
That's very true.
Take me into the song Home. We mentioned it, but recording that itself, I remember like Mumford and Sons and all that was like big at that time, and it kind of had a somewhat similar sound, but take me into, just you hearing it for the first time, or into the recording studio to make it an actual single, that was kind of perfect for movie trailers and everything, but it's an all-time banger, man.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah. We went into the studio, cut the guitars, and I think we played around with the drum hits a little bit. Super simple drum, obviously just 4 on the floor. And it was a crazy fast process, man. Like I didn't even, obviously listening back, and this is to every song that I've recorded though. Like you listen back to like, oh man, I would have changed this, or I would have done this, and but there's a beautiful thing about Rush in a way, like moving quickly. Cause my first album, most of those songs were songs I'd written in my bedroom at my parents' house when I was younger, during that whole, right before all that and during, so I'd never gone to the studio to record these really. I did with my brother-in-law. He had just a fun little setup we would just mess around with. But, we had 3 weeks to record that whole album, from cutting guitars to mastering. And it was the fastest process. So it was a good process because you couldn't overthink anything. You couldn't spend hours. So like, was the vocal sound good like this? Or should we do the vocal like this? Or should the guitar sound like this or that or whatever? You could spend hours and hours and hours. And, so that there, but yeah, even recording that song though, was just like, you go back, and every song I could go back and add and change things too. So, fast, super fast. That's all I can say about it.
Wow. That's crazy. And was Gone, Gone, Gone one of the same ones? Was that one of the ones you'd written previously, or did that come up in that 3 weeks?
So that came up in the 3 weeks that I was writing with Todd Clark and Derek Furman. and they were also helping produce the album. I say produce; they're kind of helping engineer some of it. But great songwriters, and we'd written quite a few songs together, and they brought this song, and we finished it together and helped produce it. I wanted to add horns and all this other stuff, and I think it just sounded absolutely, I think it's a very timeless song.
Awesome. Both of those were huge hits. And of course, the album, we keep dancing around it, but the name of it is The World from the Side of the Moon, 2012. Look it up, everybody. And you probably already own it. Well, with that one, that one you said, it was this rapid fire. I mean, you're pulling from old songs you'd written, but also, an intensive 3 weeks. You have like the post-idle machine kind of working to crank this out. We got to capitalize on, you winning the show and all that. But then contrast that to your second album, Behind the Light, in 2014. We remember Fly and Raging Fire and all that, but like, was putting that album together just a completely different experience? Did you get like to at least breathe and like spend a little more time on it, or what was that like comparatively?
Not really, man. It was a little bit longer, obviously, than the first album, but it was still super rushed because, like you said, they were still wanting to capitalize on what was going on. And I wanted to spend more time on it, but it's when you're on a major label and you're dealing with, have management that's not looking out for the best interest, I would say. It's like, all I can do is just, okay, then let's just work, let's get it done.
Right.
And I do love, just about all of those songs. There's, I think, let's see, maybe one song on the second album. There's one song on each album on the first 3 records that I don't like, because you're dealing with so many different opinions. Even if I write it, I've written a ton of songs I hate.
Are you allowed to tell us which one on each album that you don't like?
I don't want to say it.
Yeah.
A lot of my fans have figured it out because I don't play them live.
We'll keep it a mystery. People can try to figure it out.
Yeah, keep it a mystery. But yeah, I mean, you just deal with so many different opinions that think they know how to write a song that have never written a song.
Yeah.
And I was super, I was young and I didn't know, you're just young and you don't know, you have all these older people telling you what to do, and you're like, okay, I guess I'll do it then if that's the right thing. You're kind of putting this trust into them, and
right.
And but I do love that second album. There's a lot of cool songs on there, even the deeper tracks, I love. And so yeah, I think I do like that record. I would I would change quite a few things.
Yeah, but you can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, or whatever they say. You were able. It was a successful album anyway, so you can always nitpick it in hindsight, I'm sure. Well, absolutely. Raging Fire you played it on Ellen and Conan, and I think it was part of the NHL playoffs. Like they'd play it to like highlight packages and stuff. So it did well, my friend. It did well. Well, before we run,
it did do good.
Yeah, before we run, take me into album 3, then Collateral. Like you were saying at the top, it was 5 years ago now, but that was in 2018. Into the Wild. What was it? Magnetic, I think, was another one. How do you think you evolved from album 2 to album 3, and then on? And I mean, we see the new album now, but yeah, where were you in your evolution by album 3?
Man, that album. I really love the sound of that album. I recorded it in Seattle, with Ryan Hadlock, and then one song, Magnetic, that I recorded with Nathan Chapman. Really just showed a diverse side of me that I've always tried to put into my music in the first couple albums, but this one I really explored it a little bit more with like a song called I Dare You and Magnetic. They had a little bit more of like a blues, jazz, funky thing, and then a song called Don't Tell Me, a little more funk driven, and and yeah, and like Magnetic had that sexiness about it that I really loved, a little more of a swag, and just really fun sound and great songs on there. Yeah, one song I don't like on there that great, but I have played it a few times, and because people like it, and I like the song, but it just anyways.
It'll grow on you.
I think it's a real yeah, and then there's a song called What Will Become of Us that I really love. That was all one take with me and my buddy Dave Agar on the cello, and really emotional song. One of my favorite songs I've ever written, and just beautiful tune. And now we're on album 4, and Drift Back. And I just love this album, man. And I love every song on this album. And it's
Nice.
just, you know, yeah, it really speaks to these past 5 years of of you know, I had a lot of time to think. You know, we went through COVID, and there's a lot of time that you have to think. And then I had a kid, and you
Congrats.
know, you just grow. You just grow and you learn each and every day, man, how to what to do. You're in a surprise every day with a toddler, and then your relationships with friends and your wife and your family, you know, all of it changes and priorities change, and you know, you just, you know, life keeps going, and you have to learn how, you know, what you want to do and how you want to do things. And you know, so that's, yeah, that's that. And I would say everyone, I would tell everyone to check it out. And yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I don't know how far you are living now from where you grew up, but you got to take your kid over that same speed bump. It's like a rite of passage, or play some pickleball or something with the kid.
Absolutely. I actually live not too. I live like not too far down the road. Actually, yeah, we live kind of in a quiet spot, and it's nice. Yeah,
I love it, man. That you're living the dream, you know, because a lot of people have to go off and move away to, you know, and then, but you're able to come back and still have the career, you know, a world famous career, but you're still pretty much living your home. You're living the dream, as far as I'm concerned. Awesome.
no,
Well,
I appreciate it, man.
everyone pick up the album. It's called Drift Back. It arrives Friday, June 9th. Normally I'd like to tease, you know, your upcoming live date or whatever, but I guess the closest to us here in DC would be, gosh, June 20th in Cheswick, PA, near Pittsburgh. Not very close, a couple hours away. So let me ask it this way: what is a Phillip Phillips?
So maybe
Good. I was gonna say, what's a Phillip Phillips
I
live
was gonna
show
say,
like?
yeah, I mean, we have a good time, man. It's all live music. We jam out, rock out, but might be coming around the area in October. So just kind of be on the lookout for that. You know, nothing's really announced yet, but you know, new album, probably definitely have some new dates to come along with it. So be on the lookout for that on the website. And I was just in DC. I did the Memorial Day concert
Oh,
this
that's
past
right.
weekend, and that was awesome. And I took my little boy, that was his first plane ride, and my wife, and we had a good time and went to the zoo and several museums, and had a really good time, man. It was an awesome, great event.
Now, did you get to talk to like Gary Sinise and Joe Montana, and who else was there? Trace Atkins, Jody Messina, Yolanda Adams. We just did a story on it, so of course you were there. But yeah, what was it like
Yeah, yeah.
brushing shoulders with all those guys and gals?
Oh man, everybody's super kind, man. Everyone was really nice, and it was, you know, we all knew that we weren't there for us. It was for,
Right.
you know, it was Memorial Day. It was for all those families and the ones that have, you know, that we lost. So, um, awesome, amazing event, and it was, you know, I was glad that I was able to maybe bring a little bit more of a like a more of a upbeat moment for that whole event, and that, I thought it went really, really well.
It's an amazing show they do every year, and obviously a somber occasion, but it's wonderful to see the tributes, and you can tell why,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Gary and Joe and everybody, why they keep coming back every year, because they say once you do it once, you kind of want to do it every
Absolutely.
year. All right, well,
Yeah.
final seconds. You've toured with, you know, John Mayer and Gavin DeGraw and the Goo Goo Dolls. You've even shared the stage with Bruce Springsteen. Is there one moment where you were just like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm, you know, on the same stage as this guy?
Yeah, I mean that one with Bruce Springsteen. So me, Mayer, and Bruce Springsteen closed out the night at Rock in Rio in I think 2013. Oh, in 2013, and that moment was like 100,000 people out in that crowd, and they were singing every word to every one of my songs, and it was just definitely one of the highlights of my career and of my life. Man, that was just so cool.
Well, I just saw your earpiece, your earbud fall out, so I'm gonna blame your best friend for using the splitter. You know, he probably yanked it too hard when you were a kid. Yanking that.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, my ears, you know, your ears change shape as you get older, so my ears are just getting even weirder or bigger or something.
Yeah, we all get those old guy ears.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you have a long career ahead still, so we can't wait to see what you do. Thank you so much for spending so much time with us. We'll let you run, but yeah, it's called New Drift Back, the new album, Friday, June 9th. Phillip Phillips. Thank you so much, man. This was a freaking blast.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, you have a good one, buddy.
You too.